Today, we're obviously going to just take a look at pretty much a demo of the Complete Maths platform, but really I'm going to focus in on how you can make blended learning work and show you a couple of things as well that we've got in the pipeline that are going to be released very, very soon. So we have obviously the demo video that I've talked about, and then down here you can get a little preview of some of the things that we have, these dynamic questions, dynamic quizzes, which we'll look at as well, and some of the dynamic worksheets that just regenerate continually to give you infinite practice, in this case on quadratics, this one. And this here is really interesting, is this idea of this map of mathematics, and we're going to take a little sneak peek at that today, and that's coming very, very soon, very, very soon, hopefully in the next week or so. So when we log in, you would obviously log in using the login button. When we log in, you're faced with this kind of screen here that kind of gives you a summary of all the things that you've been doing, your activity on the platform, whether you've been generating PDFs or whatever you've been doing. And you get some welcome messages here. They just tell you some things about the platform, some kind of maybe admin type things you need to do, or things to do with actual pupil information. We go down a little bit, we've got our recent resources. So these are resources that we can see someone has uploaded very recently, and you can go in and take a look at them if you wish, or if you want to view more, you can look at all of the resources that all of our members have generated and kindly shared with everyone who's a member of the platform. And you can also access them at the very top here, which I will get into and when we start planning lessons. And then down the bottom, you can just get a link to our CPD that we have available at the moment. We're running lots and lots and lots of different webinars. So please check them out, and you can get them on the homepage under CPD, obviously. And if you want to check them out and have a look, see if anything takes your fancy. So we're going to start planning a lesson and have a look at how we might plan a lesson that could either be used in normal teaching conditions, or it could be used as a blended learning sort of tool, a home learning sort of tool as well. It doesn't really matter, because my experience of the platform, if I just kind of delve into that very quickly, I started working with Salle in January. Prior to that, I would always kind of try to participate in maths confs, and actually ran a couple of CPD sessions while I was still head of maths at St Andrews Academy in Paisley. But I had used the platform myself. I used it for just a year myself to get familiar with it, and then I rolled it out for the entire department to implement it. And we used it quite extensively and tried to transfer all of our planning to this tool. And I'll talk about the various kind of logistics of that as we go through, rather than try and give you a big overview right now. So albeit that I'm trying to promote this platform for blended learning, but my core beliefs are that I would only promote something that's genuinely going to help people. And obviously, yeah, there is a cost to this, like there is with most things that are generally pretty good. I know a lot of people are using Google Classroom and Teams and stuff like that, and that's great. However, this platform gives you something very, very different and very, very unique and very, very specific to mathematics, and not just general uploading and dumping resources online that kids have to find and access. And I'm sure you're all running into loads of problems with kids trying to find things and access them and give them feedback, etc. Well, this is very, very directed towards learning mathematics. So along the top, we've got our tabs here that we can access various parts of the platform. And what you'll find throughout is that I can access parts of the platform in many different ways. So I can go and take a look at the classes that I've got. Probably a sensible place would be to jump in and look at my timetable. That's normally where I would go when I was sitting planning lessons. I would go in and look at my timetable, plan some lessons and do all that kind of stuff. However, before we begin, what do we really need before we can plan a lesson really is we need a scheme of work. So if I jump to schemes right now, you will see that on the platform, and apologies, this will no doubt run a little slow because I'm using Zoom at the same time. So just bear with me. And what you can see here is that it shows me all the different schemes of work that are available. Now you can probably see for the Scottish people in the audience that we have National 5, Level 4, Level 3, National 4, Level 1, Level 2, and yep, that's all of them there. So these are schemes that I've created. If I just go in and take a quick look at Level 2, what's really nice about this is that it gives you a nice overview of the mathematics that's in Level 2 and not just prose statements or benchmarks. So this was built upon the big curricular organisers that we have in Level 2. I didn't think it would be sensible for me to try and dictate the best order in which to do it, because I know people quite like the autonomy of having to be able to do that themselves. And I know that's very much in the essence of Curriculum for Excellence. And if you want to delve in a little deeper, you can see I've kind of bundled together E's and O's, so people that are Scottish will understand what I mean by this. And I can see that within here, I can go and look at an objective. And if I want to look at an objective, then I can go in and I can get lots of like a wealth of information about that piece of mathematics that has to be learned. But better still, I get complete exemplification of what that mathematics is, and almost like a progression of that mathematics from the entry point to the kind of hardest kind of routine question you should be asked, to something now that starts probing at something a little deeper and starts connecting other areas of mathematics. With this being a topic that's so early on, obviously it doesn't lend itself well to it. So if you're Scottish, then you can go in and look at levels 1, 2, 3, 4, National 4, National 5. Early level is not on there yet, but that will be done by August. If you're not in Scotland, then there is lots and lots and lots of AQA schemes, Kangaroo Math schemes. If I kept scrolling down, you'll start to see GCSE schemes that are there. There's tons and tons of stuff there. There's people with bespoke schemes like Dundee, you can see here, for example. And SAA is my old school's bespoke schemes that we created. So you've got SAA as St Andrews Academy. I just shortened it, and they're available for people to use as well. And that's just kind of me just taking the maths and putting it in a sensible order is what I had done there. So you can have a look at them. And those courses are not one-year courses. That's why there's so many hours involved in it. But what we would always recommend is to take a look at our courses. And our courses are called Complete Mathematics, as you will see. And these work in years. Now, these are not years as they don't correspond to the way the English education system works. It's basically saying that year 5 would correspond to year 5 of learning mathematics from scratch, essentially, provided you're making adequate progression. So it's assumed that for you to begin that scheme of work, that you have completed and successfully shown that you have mastered and you're proficient at all the content within years 1 to 4. And this sequence of mathematics that you can see, a Complete Mathematics year 6, 5, 7 there, and it goes to year 1 way down here. You can see that it goes from counting, really early stuff, and that'll be a lot of the stuff that I'll draw upon for early level in CFE for those that are interested. And it goes all the way to up to year 12, year 13 to calculus, essentially, and beyond. So it goes up to like A-level type stuff and a little bit more. So those schemes have been created by experts that have taken like 15 years to put all of that together. And that kind of allows me to go off on a nice tangent right now to talk about this, because Scottish people, you might have seen the tweet that I retweeted from my boss, Mark McCourt, who is pretty much offering what I'm going to show you next for free for the entirety of Scotland. So if you wanted to put a little bit of pressure on the powers that be to get it, then he's pretty much offering it to people in Scotland, like the education system in Scotland, to get in touch about that. And how that looks is this. This is our new tool that we've introduced. And you can see here, it's just a list of all of the mathematics all the way down. If I keep scrolling all the way down, you'll see where I get to, and you can see I'm now into like A-level type stuff. And I can see someone's asked about applications and higher. That stuff is coming as well, definitely higher, because I'm going to draw up on a lot of this. So you can see where it goes and where it begins, and that's fine. And what's really nice about that is that if I wanted to go and search for some mathematics, I can see it all in objective form, so granular form. So let's say I wanted to search for fractions of an amount, And I can now start to see where all of this lies within school level mathematics. And typically it's going to give me in the kind of sequence of how it kind of would progress as you move through teaching kids mathematics. And if I wanted to take this one, for example, I can go in and take a look at it. But what's really quite nice is that if I am wanting to plan very, very bespoke, maybe short programs of work for pupils who have fallen behind in this crazy situation that we find ourselves in, you maybe want something that's very, very bespoke to maybe catch pupils up, and you're wanting to plan it really, really well and really, really in a coherent way, then I can go and view where that sits in the whole of mathematics, and it tells me exactly where it is, so that I can decide, right, I know I need this, but what should really come before, and what's before this? Where does this sit within a unit of mathematics? Really, really interesting to see it in that way. Another view we can take is look at groups, and you can see here how these might work, different big strands of mathematics like equations. There's a ton of stuff within equations. I can look at it topic based as well. These topics that we have just in alphabetical order right now. Fractions, you could go down and look at all of the fractions content, and you can see where fractions of an amount would sit. We can also look at mathematics in quite a unique way, and to my knowledge, no one has ever done this before, and we spent a ton of time making sure this was right. I can switch to map view, and you can see here that this is all of mathematics as a sort of highlight over that. But if we decide to zoom in, I can start to see that there's lots and lots of mathematics in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a top-down model first of all. And this shows me mathematics from the very, very early stages of mathematics down here. If I just hover over, you can see the types of things that might appear in there. Finding one less than a given number, really, really early on in a child's development, and how this spirals up the way. When I put it to radial now, you can almost see that when I move this around, this kind of cyclical nature of the mathematics as it grows. And I think it's really interesting that you can highlight certain groups within it. So if we take equations, you can see where equations lies within the map and how it's all interconnected within all these other topics that lie within mathematics. And honestly, you could spend hours looking at this and just taking the time to really digest how mathematics should be sequenced. So if I've got time at the end, I'll maybe come back and answer some questions and we can explore that a little further, but we could spend hours on it, to be honest. Anyone who's a member of Complete Mathematics right now will get access to this very, very soon, and it will sit within your side of the platform. And as I said, the offer is out there to Scottish teachers, Education Scotland, the government. If you want this, then you have to get in touch with us about it. So let's flick back, and I'm going to go to my timetable. And you can see a kind of standard sort of timetable here. And I've got some lessons planned. You can see a key down the side: unplanned, draft, planned, and dark green means I've actually taught that lesson. So obviously I'm not in school, but this was my timetable before I finished up. And I've put in some lessons in here, and you can see this lesson is actually a wee quiz attached to it. But anyway, let's go ahead and let's plan a lesson right now. So I'm going to take a look at this class here, and first thing I want to do is add an objective to start my planning. So I'm going to add an objective, and when I go in, I can see it's given me my bespoke scheme of work that I've assigned to this class. So that could be any scheme of work. It could be one of the ones that I was talking about earlier. You could have created your own very, very kind of niche scheme of work. Maybe it's a short program of work for a particular class of kids. Whatever it may be, this is what it would look like. So I've organized it into these different bespoke units, and I'm going to go to the last used, or I can go to recommended. I'm going to go to last used because we know as maths teachers that sometimes we need that little bit of variety. We might have been teaching a class and we've been kind of banging our head against a brick wall for a bit, and kids are just getting a bit bogged down and it's becoming a bit monotonous, the topic that we're doing. We're just having to spend a lot of time on it, and we know we need more time, but you know what? We need a little bit of variety. So we're going to jump to something that we know we can go to, that we don't need to teach any prerequisites for it. So maybe I'm going to jump ahead because I know I just need that little bit of variety. And I'm going to go down here and I'm going to look at this objective. Equations with brackets preceded by a term. That's the one it's recommending for me. And you can see that it doesn't really matter if I don't go sequentially, because over here, the system is tracking for me my planning. It's tracking my planning. If I scroll up, you'll see it's telling me that I've taught everything within that unit of time. If I go up again, you can start to see all of these units are starting to fill up. And what is really, really fascinating to look at is that you can look at the full curriculum and see how that matches up across the entirety of mathematics and how you've taught bits of it. Again, for people in Scotland, if you flick on CFE, you can get to see a picture of how you have been teaching mathematics across the entire Scottish curriculum. So I can see here that I've been teaching things in level 2, and I can go down and I can really just scroll as far down as I like, and I can start to see things in level 3 that have been picked up. And I can then go even further down. If I just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, I can see things in level 4 that have been picked up in this unit, number processes. And right all the way into National 4, National 5, I will begin to see the overlap of the mathematics that lies within the curriculum. Now, this would apply to any country or jurisdiction. You can see here things in National 4 that I've taught. And that would be the same if I went to full curriculum. I would see the same picture. And that's really nice to see that although these kids are in S2 or S1, year 7, year 8, whatever country you're in, I can see that they're actually starting to pick up on things that come much later on. So I'm going to go back to my scheme of work and I'm going to plan a lesson. So I'm going to go to the last used, and I was talking about putting this in. So I'm going to add this to the lesson and I'm going to go ahead and plan this lesson. So let me just expand this for you. I can see I get a wee overview of a description of what this piece of work is that I'm this granule, this objective of mathematics that I'm going to be teaching. And it's saying there recommended teach time 1 hour. That is very much very, very loose. Like, I never paid any attention to that because that depends on who you've got in front of you. I could find myself teaching this for an entire week or a couple of weeks. That's fine, because that's what the kids needed. So moving along one, I'm going to look at prerequisites and dependents. And this is telling me the things that I need to ensure are absolutely nailed down before I begin, because if I don't, it's probably going to be a disaster. And I'm going to have to start teaching tricks and putting plasters over things to make it work. I don't want to be doing that. And look, this little objective here, look what depends upon it being taught well when we start going further down. And that gives you a sense of the magnitude of teaching mathematics well and teaching it correctly, and being a bit more forward facing and thinking ahead when these kids go further on, even when they're out with your care in your classroom or even your school, just thinking ahead. These kids are going to need that. So we're very much pupil centered in what we do on Complete Maths. Pedagogical notes, you'll get some nice notes in here, just telling you things to be mindful of when you're teaching this, maybe just nice little reminders of things that come up. And often what you'll see is, you'll see some links in here to like maybe research papers or good websites to read blogs about people's advice or people's lived experience of what they've done when they're teaching these topics. And very, very soon you will start to see videos appearing in there of some of our webinars that we're chopping up and going to add to this. So actually you will be able to get like in the moment training if you wanted it on, say, something like algebra tiles or Cuisenaire rods, and they'll be plonked in there very, very shortly. One of my favourite tabs, misconceptions. Very, very important. And you think about, if I think about my time as an NQT or a student teacher, this would have been invaluable having this here to look at and think about all these really interesting things, particularly this one, you know, confusion over the positive, negative nature. Like I would never have really known that, you know, as a early stage teacher. Sometimes you might even just forget about this stuff because it's been a while since you've cycled back to it and teaching it again, you know, like that happens a lot in schools and whatever sector you're in. So it's really, really handy to have these little notes here to remind you of what's going on, the things to be mindful of. Maybe you're going to chuck in some non-examples to really be quite explicit about these common misconceptions. Example questions, they give you the exemplification of what this objective is and show you progression. So typical being something that's relatively routine, to hard, which is something that's obviously kind of getting to the kind of almost like the entry and the exit point of teaching this objective. And probing is when we start to look at things that are a little deeper and occasionally start to bring in other mathematical ideas depending on the objective. And what we're now offering is, we're now offering you guys infinite examples that you can use when you're teaching at the board or recording videos to give to kids. And I can just expand that out. I can make it a little bigger if I wish, so it's nice and clear. And I can just go ahead and say, right, this is the example, and maybe I've got another whiteboard or something like that in my classroom, or I'm going to write on top of it, whatever you decide to do, switch cameras if you're recording to a visualizer. And you can go ahead and work that out and go, right, now that we've done that one and you guys have watched the solution, or maybe they've copied it down, whatever your method is, there you go, there's one for you guys to do, you know, and just regenerate. Kids can also get access to this on their side, and they can stick in answers. So I've no idea what the answer is to this. I can check it, it's wrong, and then I can show the answer to maybe give me some insight on how to have a go at it, rather than just giving them the whole solution right away. So really, really, really helpful, and you'll start to see there's tons of these appearing on the platform. So where are we going now? Key learning points. That's kind of like our success criteria, how we're trying to define our journey through this objective. ICANNs are in pupil speak, so they get this on their side of the platform. Key vocab, pretty much what you would expect, but we know how important this is. We know how important to be very precise with the language that we use in the mathematics classroom to not build in misconceptions. And those of us that are in countries and jurisdictions whereby we're under a bit of pressure to tackle things like literacy, and you see these getting added to detailed planners that people are typing away like crazy on Excel and Word and stuff like that. Well, this was the perfect solution for me. I had a course outline, and I always wanted to have a really detailed planner that had all the examples in it. I had all the literacy stuff tackled, pedagogical notes, and the bottom line was I just couldn't get around to it. I just couldn't find the time. I then discovered this, and I'm thinking, this solves all my problems. There is my detailed planner that all the teachers can access wherever they wish. So lots of great information in there. Absolutely love it to read through that and remind yourself of it. And yeah, just being right on top of things when you're planning. Resources, you'll see there's a few resources here. And what we can do is, thinking of a kind of blended learning model that we're in right now, we could go and take a look and say, right, what's this here? This looks like a PDF. Let me just open that up and have a look and see. Okay, I quite like that actually. That's quite a nice little task that I'm going to give them. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, and it's got a solution as well. That's perfect. So someone's been very nice. David Smith has been very nice to contribute that. I am going to use that as a piece of classwork. Okay, and I'm going to make it available today for this class here. That's perfect. And I'm going to make the solution available after they submit it. And I'm going to give them some instructions. Do it on paper and upload a pic of your work. There we go, that's created now, and you can see it slid along and it's now became a piece of classwork. I'm going to take another look and see, right, actually, do you know what? I think this video, rather than going watching the video, this will be a wee video, one of a typical kind of YouTube video. I quite like that, and I'm going to actually use that as classwork also. So I'm going to give them this, and I'm going to say, watch the video and make some notes in your book. Okay. And that slides along as well now, and that's 2 pieces of classwork. Actually, what am I going to look at? I'm going to look at something else. What's this here? Right, so this looks to me like this is going to kind of culminate at the end of maybe doing some work. They've got to kind of look at these mistakes in here. Right, this is actually ideal for me. I'm going to use this as a homework. So I'm going to assign this a piece of homework, and now we've got a bit more information to enter. And I'm going to put in start date is available today. And I'm going to give them till Friday to get this done. And I'm not going to give them the solution because I'm going to give some feedback on it. Instructions, you can type in whatever you want or just have none and it will still work. So a couple of people have asked questions at this point. Can you make the key vocab zoomable? Yes, you can just zoom in using your browser and just zoom in different parts and scroll around and you can see it and talk through it with the class if you wish. Individual subscriptions we don't do, we just do whole school subscriptions, but if you want to get in touch with the support team, they can maybe discuss that with you. And can we upload our own teaching videos? You certainly can. So we can add a resource here right now if we wish. Is what you just must have read my mind there. And I'm going to just add a resource and I'm going to call it equations lesson. Actually, it's going to be an activity because it's going to be a lesson. I'm going to make a YouTube video because I've got John Corbett's YouTube video here. I'm going to just copy the link, paste it in, set that, it's in place. I can go and put some notes in for teachers if they want to use it, or for myself, some notes for the pupil if I wish, and I'm going to publish it. Now, at this point, I got a choice. Do I want to share this with every single person on the Complete Maths platform? That's entirely up to you. Generally, we kind of say, like, if you're using other people's stuff, then try and contribute as well, but it's entirely up to you. It's absolutely no skin off my nose if you don't. But what we can do is we can share it for our institution so that only the people in our institution or local authority can access this. So that's really interesting. And you can make friends in Complete Maths. There you go. If you don't have any friends, then you can make some in Complete Maths. So publish that. That's good to go. There it is. And I can now just use that. So moving along, tutorials. We've got some tutorial videos. And again, you can add tutorial videos here. So you can add tutorial videos here, or you can add them actually as a resource. If they sit here, then everyone gets to see them. So you can see there's a couple of videos there, and they're actually really useful for kids. Notes, I can go along and I can add myself a little note, and I can say something like, remember to discuss question 5, and that makes sense to me. When I was in my previous post, I was really quite shocked by how well teachers used the notes function of it. And I would see teachers writing things like that. Remember to discuss question 5. Remember you never finished the exercise. Remember that task. Make sure you give it out at the beginning. I even seen things like remember to collect in consent forms. So they were using it like the way that teachers have loads of post-its all over their desk, or their planners, or paper planners. They simply just went all online. And I used to overhear people having conversations about, oh, I just remembered something when I was on my way home, and I can quickly just go on my phone, log in, fire a note in, and it's there for me in the morning when I come in. Really, really good. So just going to pause a moment. Somebody's asked about, is all the schemes of all the programs of work or the platform? So it's just the access to the curriculum. So it's just access to this and a list that that would be on offer for Scottish people at the moment. So if that doesn't quite make sense, then at the end I can maybe talk you through exactly what that is. So classwork, I can see I've got it assigned here, and that's quite interesting because now it's telling me some information about it. So I've got a couple of things here. Homework, again, I've got some information about it. I can go and view that assignment, and we'll look at that shortly. And this tool, for me, is so powerful that I could now, based on my judgment, my observations in the classroom, my observations of the work that's getting returned to me. And as I said at the beginning, I know a lot of people are using Google Classroom and Teams and stuff like that. This Complete Maths could easily replace it, or it could complement it. So if you want to run both, then you could. And the work that you're getting returned to you, you can easily just go in and just rate how you think the kids are getting on with it. And what's really, really nice about this is the kids get the chance to do the same, and you can try and marry up your perception and their perception. So it's the idea of that we're evaluating learning far more regularly than you would normally do by just giving out tests and stuff like that. And the kids are doing it. This, for me, is far more powerful than an exit ticket. An exit ticket, generally all the kids do fine in it because the idea is recent and it's queued up. They know what's coming. So this way they have to go home, or they're already at home, and they have to reflect upon their day or their week. You might just do it weekly because you might be teaching this idea for an entire week. So quite difficult to manage that and do that for every single class, I understand. However, I think it's a really, really powerful and useful tool. Even if you just got the kids to do it, I think it would be and it is, in fact, a really powerful way of getting a bit of insight and getting into their heads and how they feel about the mathematics. When there's no one around, what are they going to pick? You know, when you're just asking the class, everyone get that okay? Yeah, generally no one says anything, do they? So it's really interesting to see, to get inside their heads, what they think about it. If I wanted to download it as a PDF, I can go ahead and do that. I can go ahead and download it, and maybe I've got some cover work to organise for a class. I can put all this together for the class, so it's there for them, get a PDF and give it to the person that's maybe going to be covering that. So let me just come out of that screen and go back to here again. I think I'm ready. I want to give them a quiz as well though. So I'm going to give them a quiz, and I'm going to pick a date range. In my last place, we always gave them 2 quizzes per week. We would like to give them a quiz where they were doing it like a sort of retrieval quiz, and that's this date range quiz. And what's wonderful about this is I can pick the date I want to go back. I always went maximum, so I always went 2 months. Some teachers maybe just went a month, and you've got some flexibility there. Maybe just want to revise what happened the previous week. But if you do 2 months and you do that every single week or more, then you're just constantly going to be rolling that revision on. And say you come across something that the kids haven't understood from the assessments and the quizzes that you're going to do, you can easily just put it back in as a lesson, plan it, teach it, and then the system picks it back up again to add it to this rolling revision retrieval style quiz. So I'm going to hit next. There's all the topics that I've taught, tons of them. I'm going to hit next. The name of it is going to be Review Quiz 2, whatever you like to call it. I'm not going to enable test conditions because I don't care how long they take to do it. Duration basically corresponds to how many marks it's going to be worth. So 15 minutes should be how long on average it should take them. I'm not really caring about that. I'm just wanting to get them something that's fairly substantial. I could give them something that's huge as well, maybe give them longer to do it. My preference was to make them kind of short and sharp and more regular. So that depends how you work, because you're going to have to analyse this and figure out what's going on. So whatever works best for your workload. I'm going to save it, and when I'm ready, I just generate, and then it becomes available on the kids' side of the platform. So let's take a look in there right now then. So I'm logged in as a child. Let me just refresh. And I've got my quizzes set up here. My wee lesson's not appeared there. Let me just go back and see, because I've not planned it, sorry. So I need to plan my lesson, and now I can just check down the side. I've got everything. Yeah, I've got my classwork. I've got my homework. Okay, that's perfect. What else have I got? I've got my note here, right, question 5, that's fine. Quiz is in, and I've planned it, right, perfect. So let's skip to the pupil side, refresh again, and we'll now see that the lesson is now sitting here for the child to look at. So first port of call for the child would maybe be go and do my quizzes. I see I've got a homework assignment to do, but if we go into the lesson, we can then see we've got the quiz sits here as well. So like I was saying, they are very, very, very different ways in which I can get to all these places in the platform, whichever works most intuitively for the pupils and yourself. So I can go and do my quiz, and I can see the teacher has given me a piece of classwork to do. Right, what's that one? So I have to do something there. This one I've just to watch it. Okay, so I'm going to do this one first. So I'm going to open this up. I can open up the PDF, and I'm going to have a go at the questions. And then what I can do is I can just go ahead and add a file. So let's just say I'm just going to add a random document from my documents. Let me ping that in there. And I'm going to go down and just maybe write a wee reflection about it as well. I'm just going to say, understood this really well. Please, can I get more? Because that's what most kids would probably write. So we'll get that in there. I can start a conversation with the teacher directly about this piece of mathematics. So directly about it, not just general. And you know how kids can be when they're trying to communicate, they can be a bit generic, and you have to then spend another 10 messages trying to figure out what task they're actually talking about. Well, this is specific to an assignment. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to just write in here, got stuck with question 4 or something like that. And I'm going to send that. And the only way the kids can communicate with you is on the platform. There's no contact through email. There's no contact through any other sort of way. It's only via the platform. And what's really nice about it is when you want to switch off and not get notifications, then Complete Maths does not notify you about these. It only notifies you when you log in. So as in, you just get a tiny little red dot up there to go and look at the chats that are going on between you and your pupils. So I'm flicking back. I'm going to submit this piece of work to my teacher. I might have a couple of screenshots here. That's why you have to select them. And I'm going to submit that assignment. And I'm finished with that now. And then I could go ahead and do the same with my homework. And I can add a file. So let's add a different file. Just some random stuff that I've got there. And I can write other reflections, start a conversation. Let me just submit that actually. I've got nothing to say about it. So I'm quite happy just to submit my work there. Okay, so I'm now done. Right, so a couple of questions that come up. Are the quizzes unique for each pupil or do they get the same questions? Each pupils, the whole class gets the same set of questions. They are not unique to every single pupil. So yeah, essentially, I suppose what you're getting at there, Kevin, is yeah, they could copy each other, but I suppose it's like anything else. Could you set a quiz for before and after the lesson? You could. You could set a quiz before and after the lesson. We're going to go in and look at how we can get more bespoke on our quizzes. Does Complete Maths have lessons or ideas to use them to? Yes, as I said about the Manipulatives courses, you're going to start to see them appearing in the pedagogical notes and references to how you can use the Manipulatives to teach certain objectives. Okay, so back to here now, and what you can see is that these are starting to appear across the objectives. And what this is one of these kind of like a way of bridging the gap between having a kind of mastery style quiz that kids will get when I assign a quiz. If I flick back to our side, these quizzes here, they're going to be like almost like pitching it at towards the hard end of the scale. And what we've found is that we need kids to be able to do some of the basic practice, basic routine. So if I go in and quiz me, you'll see the questions are standard routine type questions, which they probably would be anyway for this particular objective. But when you start to play around with the platform, you'll see you won't get any worded questions in here. You won't get any contextualized questions. They'll just be routine. So if the objective was addition, it would just be standard, add these numbers together, and that would be it. And you could go ahead and fire your answers in. And what this allows the kids to do is to self-quiz themselves and try and get 10 out of 10 to get to the proficient level. So you just instruct them to do so. So kids can see like a condensed version of what we see. And again, I can go in and access classwork, I can access homework. And what I can do is I can look at the vocab on my side. I can see the example questions and I can go and try these out as well. But as I was saying, I can go home and I can look at the kind of learning intentions or success criteria, whatever you want to call them. And I can go in and say, right, I'm quite happy with that and that, not that, that, not that, not sure. So I'm going to put I can't. And it's going to tell me what kind of, it's indicating to me how well I'm progressing through this objective. And if I flick back to our side of the platform and I go to assess, flick back onto assess, I can now see this pupil here. It matches with my observations. So I'm going to go back to the pupil side and I'm pretty much done now. So I'm going to go back to the home page and I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to have a wee go at this quiz here. So quizzes are formatted really well to work on tablets, to work on phones. They kind of use like that kind of Google UI, so the Android sort of UI, so it fits and works well with whatever platform they are on. And you can see here it's a short one. So I've got some questions here I need to enter some answers. I can skip ahead and I see I've got some multiple choice questions to do on fractions here. Another one, more fractions. There must be a lot of fractions I've picked in this one. Okay, so I've got some stuff here on number lines as a part B. Again, selecting answers. Okay, stuff here to do with, looks like decimals as well. And another fractions percentages one. Okay, another fractions and percentages calculations type question. So quite a good one there, but you can see these are more like probing questions now. And if I don't get it finished, I can always exit and I can always come back and resume that quiz when I'm ready. I get a nice wee overview of my results. But let's say I want to go and take a little deep dive into a recent quiz that I've done. So I'm going to go and look at this one because it's only at 50% and I'm not quite happy about that. So I can see here, that's my results. What happened here? What's going on with this question? Explain why 95 is not a prime number. My answer, I picked this one, but I've just forgotten to pick something else. But maybe I'm a bit unsure. So I'm going to look at similar questions. I'm going to look at the solutions of them. And I'm going to just see, does that maybe help me understand it a bit better? Maybe I'm still none the wiser. So maybe I need to go and look at the actual objective and look at all the content that's in here, the example questions, or better still, that would suit most kids that I've ever met in my life. I'm going to just go and watch a video about it to learn about it and figure out where I have went wrong. And once I'm done, I can go back to the summary. And what's really nice is here that after every single quiz, pupils are basically given a study plan. It's telling them here, you have been asked questions on these objectives and you've not managed to do very well in them. So they're a high priority to revise them again. And if you look at the question, you can go to it, you can go to the objective. When you get to the question, you know, you can go and learn more, watch the videos, do a quiz. It's just giving them so much opportunity to go and do some self-study. And I think that from a home learning point of view, you're trying to give as much feedback as you can. It takes a huge amount of time. Well, getting the kids trained up on a platform like this, you just tell them, go and look at your summary, do your own revision, and then get in touch with me if you're still none the wiser and you need more help. So it's going to save you a huge amount of time in that front. And even if it's normal working conditions, kids will get this summary the minute they finish the quiz. So by the time they come in the next day, they could have corrected their own learning or actually come in with really pertinent questions about their learning, rather than just going, oh, I have to wait till the next day. There's your results back. Right, we've not really got time to give you individual feedback. I'm just going to do a generic one, which is what I used to do most of the time, look at the common mistakes and go over those ones because I just couldn't get around 33 kids. So I think that's really, really, really powerful that the kids can go and get like an itemized study plan of what to do. And even here, you've done well, but it's still a priority. It's not, don't forget about it. You can still go in and learn a little more and do further study if you like. Kids have access to a really, really powerful feature called a learning diary. And how often do we ask kids to go back and reflect on a piece of work that they've done a few weeks ago, or something maybe that they said a few weeks ago? They get a running commentary of everything they've done and every interaction they've made with you as a teacher. And here I can see that, right, you uploaded the following file. I'm not quite sure what that is because this is just gobbledygook to me. So I'm just going to go to the assignment and have a look at it again, and it'll take me to the assignment. Or actually, better still, what I can do is I can go to the lesson and see what lesson that was in and remind myself of what it was again. Really, really wonderful that they've just got that running commentary of, and you could just give them a date. Remember, you submitted or we done this on the 10th of June. Go back and look in your learning diary and reflect upon it, or see if that helps you. And it gives them all the kind of comments that they've made as a reflection. So you would need to decide what works best for you in your context about what kind of reflections you would want kids to make, because I think it's a really powerful tool and I would encourage you to do so. Assignments, this is where all your assignments are. So we've obviously done ours. We can see ones have expired and all the ones we've submitted. Again, another way in to finding things. Results, we can look at all of our results that we've got and all our quizzes and go down and analyse all of them and have a look and see what's going on there. Kids get access to the times tables apps, and you can get access to that for free on our website as well. And you can see it starts to fill up the stars as they do it, and it resets every 5 days. So you can't get kids going, I'll do like 1,000 questions one night and it stays there forever. Every 5 days it resets to keep them on top of it. We would try and tell kids to do like 20 every night to keep on top of it, or as many as they can do. And you can see that I think I need some practice on my 1 times table. I'm going to go in and practice it, and you can see the types of questions that it's going to give me here. I'm going to just have to take a stab at this one. Yeah. And it's given me all these different multiple representations of times tables, like the arrays. They're one of my favourite things to look at when you're doing times tables. Find it on the grid. And you might notice there is no timer in sight here. You get as much time as you would like to work on this. So I think it's such a phenomenal way to practice times tables and get really, really fluent and automatic with them. And I'm trying to get to one of my favourite representations here. This one here is my favourite, dragging out an area to show and connect that idea. So if I'm done and I've had enough, I'm going to just exit, it gives me a wee bit of feedback, back to my main menu, and you'll see the stars start to fill up as they do more and more and more of these. So manipulatives are the same manipulatives on the teacher side, and kids can access them and play with them. You might give them instructions to go and try some of them out. You know, you might give them, say, I want you to go and do some trig, and I always go to this one because it's my favourite one. PhET simulations are free from the University of Colorado. You can go and access them via the website or just Google search it. And if any of you are maybe partly science teachers as well, or know any science teacher friends that don't know about PhET simulations, they really should know, because there is some fantastic biology, chemistry and physics stuff in there. But the math stuff is brilliant. So I can go and turn on all these features and start cycling through this, and how wonderful is that to see all these connections? You know, I always found that really difficult to model in the classroom, even with the advent of Desmos and Autograph and all that. But I just think this is wonderful to see all these different representations of trig in exact values. Like, it's really, really is truly wonderful. I'm just going to show you one more while I'm here that I found really, really powerful, is this function builder. And sometimes when you go in, you get some options. So I am going to look at equations. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build myself a little function here. I'm going to make it multiply by 3, and I'm going to make it subtract 2. I'm quite happy with that. And what I can do is I can start chucking numbers in, they flow through, and it gives me the output. So inputs and outputs, brilliant. Really great way to get kids thinking in a functional sense. But what's even better about this is that I can look at the equation or the function itself. I can see a table of values, and I can see graphically what's going on, and it just plots it on the graph. Really wonderful, like, way of introducing functions and number machines and stuff like that. I really enjoyed using that when I was teaching last, the idea of functions. Kids get a timetable, just like us. Kids can go and access the full curriculum. So if I'm this student here, G, I'm going to say, I actually want to know about differentiation, then I can go and learn about that if I really wish. So I'm going to flick back to the teacher side, and I'm going to go and look at my mark book for this class. So I would just access that through classes or timetable, and I can see here it gives me some data here. Obviously I've got none because I've just added those two. But I can look at some of the data that I've got, and it automatically filters for Maths Age. Now, Maths Age is how we try and correlate chronological age with maths progression. So if it's saying you're at Maths Age 11, then that's you're working at what 11-year-olds should be working at to get perfect progression, to get the best attainment possible within the realms of school. So obviously that generally falls under. I much prefer just flicking over to percentage, and that gave me a nice overview, and I can see here how kids are doing in my mark book. I actually maybe want to go in and take a wee look in here and see what's going on, and immediately it stands out to me that this question is a problem. So I think question level analysis is phenomenal. It takes ages to do this on Excel. It's done for you. Let's look at question 3, what's going on here. All right, I can see, right, I know what the issue is here. So I'm going to maybe just use this and use this as my prompt the next day on the screen. You might want to just record your screen right now if it's a kind of home learning situation, talk them through it, or maybe you need to do some more examples. So I'm going to flick back, and I can see again, I've got a percentage on. What's nice about this is I can put on timings, and I can see when kids are doing their homework. And when we get back to normality, I will probably have a conversation either on the phone or at parents' night about this child here, because I'm thinking, this kid is in S2, which is year 8. So what age are they? About 14 or something at the oldest, 13, 14. I don't really think that's a the best time to be doing homework. So I'm going to investigate a little bit if I see a pattern emerging, because I think they maybe need to get better organised. And down here, I can see this child is up very early doing homework, and I can see the results are not fantastic. So something needs to be investigated there. And that just gives you another kind of another string to your bow, and all this access and information and ways in which you can improve learning. Okay, so someone's asked about, can class results be compared with another class? Only the head of maths can have access to all the information and compare them and do some analysis on that. So we generally try and discourage that, because that's not really how learning should work if we're wanting to work towards a proper responsive teaching model. The class are doing how the class should do. They're maybe grouped in a certain way that the program that they've got is very bespoke to them, and the platform allows you to really do that really well, actually. One thing I can do is I can go back to my mark book, and I mentioned a wee bit about responsive teaching there. If I flick on analytics, and I'm just going to put on percentage, I can see what strands of mathematics that I've covered. And obviously we've got a couple missing here because I've not done anything yet, like geometry or statistics. I can see my top 5, I can see my bottom 5, and immediately that is my intervention group. That's the kids I'm going to go and focus upon. That's the kids that are going to get my attention. That's the ones that, if I've got support in place within the school, I'm going to refer them to there. I'm going to refer them to my head of department to have conversations and figure out what's going on, but I'm going to try and resolve it as much as I possibly can. Then down here, I'm being given my own study plan, my own information about, right, kids have been asked a ton of questions on this and they are not doing very well. You need to do something about this. Obviously, your teaching has not been impactful the first time. Something needs to be addressed here. Maybe it's to do with the questions that have been asked and you've maybe not done those examples, or whatever it may be. It is giving you and automating the mastery cycle process for you. It's saying, this is not working, it needs fixed. And what I found was that as teachers kind of got more familiar with this in the department, more and more conversations would be heard of teachers talking about, I can't seem to get kids to really move on with prime numbers. They can't really get it out of the suggested areas for improvement. I don't really know what to do. What have you came across that? Any ideas on what I could do? And teach, like, have you tried this? Have you tried that? That's what you want. That's what we want. We want, like, that in-house CPD happening. And this is going to be the catalyst for that happening. Further down, I can see my bespoke scheme of work and how it's filling up and all my results are filling up. And if you were thinking about the curriculum for excellence schemes of work, they're all grouped by big curricular organiser. So that's the units that were there, and you can see all your codes for E's and O's. And then you would be starting to see what achievement of a level looks like. So if you've got a level 3 course planned, you're going to start to see all the units filling up. And if you can see that you're getting really good percentages for the whole class, you can make a decent prediction and a more detailed prediction about whether kids have achieved that level or not. What's coming is, for Scottish people that I'm working on at the moment, is how we can plan a bespoke course like me, but still extract the CFE metric, the CFE data that we need. And that's coming very, very soon. So really nice overview. If you've got one of the AQA schemes planned, you can see how all your units are going to be filling up, and give you a nice indication of how the class are progressing. And then further down, I've just got my information here as well. Really handy to have, particularly this screen, and going into an actual child and looking at their results at parents' night and having that discussion. Really, really wonderful to be able to do that. And from a quality assurance point of view, I can go in as a head of maths, look at this, I can look at the scheme of work, I can look at progression, I can see where people are. Fantastic. I can do that in my own time. I don't need to be stuck in school wading through paper planners. I can do this in my own time. I could even do this on my phone if I wish to do so. But there's one thing I've not talked about, and that's the assessments up here. So assessments allows you the opportunity to build bespoke assessments. I can look at all the assessments that I've assigned for all the classes. So you might notice down here, that class that we're looking at, there's the review quiz. And I know that there's a couple of kids in there that don't actually have access at home. I know there's a situation going on. So I'm going to just get them a wee PDF copy and I'm going to print it off for them. And you can see it's really nicely formatted, space for working, space for answers, tick your options, etc. So I can print that off and it's nicely formatted. I might actually want to make a condensed version because I'm trying to save paper because budgets are tight. So I'll get a condensed version that's all kind of grouped up a bit better. So in here, I can do some analysis. I can delete these if I want. So I could go ahead and just delete that right now. I don't want it anymore. I can look at the marking scheme, the results, and I can get a preview of the quiz if I wish as well. But I want to make a bespoke quiz, and I want to make, I can choose any of these, and they're going to make me some exam practice, National 5 as well, exam practice. You'll actually notice some exam questions in there that I've added, and that'll just give you some nice soft evidence to gather some information on pupils when you're trying to make predictions about them, which could come in real handy right now and for next year as well. So you can go in and have a play around with that. But custom diagnostic, this is all of school level mathematics here. And what I use this for is two things. One, I use this to help group kids when they came in S1 or year 7, if you're in England. And I would just create a whole stage assessment. I made it around 20 minutes, and I then would be able to gather information on where the kids start to drop off. So stage 1, they've achieved a certain percentage or shown evidence that I'm willing to give them stage 2. They've got to stage 2, same again. They've got to stage 3, I'm going to stop them because I'm not convinced that giving them stage 4, they're going to be able to answer enough. And I don't want to give them anything they can't do, because that's not a nice welcome to secondary school. So that was how I used it. But how you would use it day to day is you maybe want to give a very, very, very bespoke quiz on something. So I'm going to go in and look in here, and I know that I want to give a very, very bespoke quiz on this, let's say a place value type problem or quiz on that. But I also maybe want some other things, because I know that I've got stuff on coordinates coming up. So I'm maybe going to give them some practice on that again, some revision on that to get some insight to whether my teaching was impactful the first time. I'm going to do a wee bit of rounding maybe as well, maybe a wee bit of division. Actually, that'd be quite nice to have in there. And then maybe I'll pick something from here, some addition and subtraction. So I can pick cross level and then decide how long I want to make it. So that's going to give me how long, how many marks. 20 is probably, well, in fact 25, we'll go 25. Timers off, don't care about how long they take. Next, and I'm going to just call this a prep quiz. And I'm going to assign it to that class. I see all of them because I've obviously got the admin account. Make it available today. I want it done for tomorrow because I'm horrible that way. So, and then if I go back to my pupil, go back to the home screen, I'll see that that quiz will probably appear at the side here, the prep quiz 1, and I could go in and begin that quiz. So it just works in the same way. It just allows you a lot more control over what goes in the quiz. So you can give it based on content you've taught, or you can give it based on content that you've not taught, because it's going to be like a prep quiz. Preparation homework has been proven to be one of the most useful ways to issue homework to kids. So I would definitely recommend thinking about that kind of model if you're going to get complete maths. The other things at the top, resources, as I said, we have got a whole wealth of resources on there contributed by the members. So I'll be honest with you, they vary in quality, but it's like having TES within complete maths. So it's, you can see here, there's videos, there's worksheets, you'll come across PowerPoints like this. And so basically there's like worksheets, there's lessons, there's activities, all sorts of stuff in here. And if I want to search for something, straight line, see what this pings up, and it'll just bring up anything that has straight line in the title or attributed to straight line. So there's some AQA stuff there. You can see if I click on that, it looks like a Math Centre type note or something like that, or maybe a booklet. That's handy. I might need that. I might actually give that to the kids, or maybe I just want to take a look at it and get some inspiration from it as well. And I can see some PDFs that I've got the Complete Maths branding on it that were part of some of the early work that we've done on creating resources. But there's just so many people on the platform now that they're kind of doing all that work for us. They're just contributing it all the time. You can see there's a notebook as well, which looks like that'll be a smart notebook file. So manipulatives, as you see, same as what we had before on the pupil side. Curriculum, access to the entire curriculum. You want it by group. And as I said, this is the part that's changing to the other model with the map. And if you want to just look at what is in the Scottish curriculum, there you go. That is everything that's in the Scottish curriculum from start to finish. So the resources are created by teachers that are members of the Complete Maths platform. and some of them have been created by teachers who were kind of assigned to create some resources for us as Complete Maths, and that's why they're branded for someone asked that question there. So that is pretty much us at the moment for this demo, and hopefully you've found that useful. I'm going to just stop now because I'm at the hour mark, and I wonder if there is any questions. If anyone wants to ask any questions right now, then please get in touch on the chat. My email address, or the support email address is probably the best one, they'll get back to you the quickest, is this. I'll put on the chat right now for you to get a copy of it. And if you're interested, I am more than happy to set up a demo for anyone and do a bespoke demo, a one-to-one demo if you want more info, because I realise I went through that at quite a fast pace. So if you want a more bespoke kind of personalised demo for your context, then get in touch and I will definitely I'll get that sorted for you. Can you only see elements if once you have pupils assigned? Yes. So if you don't have any pupils in the platform, there's parts of it that just won't have anything there right now. So like the mark book and stuff like that, and you'll still be able to go in and plan lessons, but you just won't have any kids to teach. So can you plan several lessons on the one timetable slot and assign to different pupils? So groupings within a class, Nicola, there's a nice model that one of our primary schools has done, that they have decided to, rather than timetable one slot for P7, they've basically taken P7 and divided it into 4 groups. So they basically have 4 periods of maths that they just go in and give them a more bespoke learning experience. So they've got, I think their groups are things like Chutes and Haribos. They've got, the kids have named them, and that's very distinct groups within the class. So those groups will get very, very different schemes of work planned for them and lessons planned for them and quizzes for them, rather than giving everyone the same quiz that maybe some of them can't do some of it. So what's the point in that? Someone's asked if individual subscriptions. No, individual subscriptions are not available, just whole school subscriptions. However, if you want to get in touch with support, they'll maybe be able to answer that question in a better way. They might be able to try and accommodate for people who are in very unique situations. So definitely get in touch with them. So keep the questions coming if you've got any more. If I've not answered it and it's scrolled away, then, or if you want more clarification, then just ping it on the chat again. But I'll just sit here and I'll mute myself right now unless anyone's got any questions. But for the Scottish people that are still on, definitely ask the people above your head about getting access to that curriculum. If you're planning to redesign your BGE or your National 5 course, or your National 4 course, why would it not be great just to have access to the entire school level mathematics? Regardless of whether it's tagged as A-level or not, it's there for you to look at and plan out a really, really coherent, well-sequenced scheme of work, a bespoke scheme of work, so that kids are doing the right mathematics. For the resources, that just the access to the curriculum side, which is this side here, I believe that we've put this to Education Scotland, so they would be the ones that would have to try and authorise that for all schools in Scotland to have access to it. So yeah, you'd have to contact and maybe the person that is your Education Scotland representative for your region and see if they're willing to push this on a little bit. So hopefully that answers your question, Sandra. I think it was asked that. But yeah, folks, I would definitely encourage you to get on this, and even just getting the chance to play around with this map is phenomenal. Really, really interesting to see how this all comes together. And when you search for things as well, it still appears in the map, and you can go and look at how detailed our planners are going to become. And this is a bit of a sneak preview right now for those that are still on, that we're going to have things like models in here as well, and giving you advice on how to teach it as a model, didactics. I'm going to do some CPD on didactics, and resources as well, like slightly different format, and some of our pedagogical notes are now going to be a lot better. And again, viewing it in context of the map, we can see that it zooms in and tells me exactly where that would be on the map of mathematics. So wonderful tool to be able to try and coordinate and make something really coherent and well sequenced.